Hello? 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 Can you hear me? Javian? Hello? Ah! Okay. I think we're on. Okay. All right. Good evening, my Plenty family. So, if you have not noticed, we have decided to switch our our live from TikTok to YouTube. And I hope you are joining us this evening to hear about um, how parking can feel personal. Now, I know a lot of people who felt this in their past or probably feeling it today. But first, I would like to say Happy New Year. This is 2026. This is a first, our first live that we did for the year. And we're excited about the things that's coming down the pipeline and things that we're going to be talking about. And if you have any suggestions on what you think we should talk about when it comes to parking, please put it in the comments and let us know. We're open for any conversations about that because we just love parking over here. So, first, I wanted to talk about why does parking feel personal, and when it becomes a conflict, right? So, have you ever noticed um, how parking can flip your mood in seconds, and you could be calm in a good mood, and maybe have even been excited about where you were going. And then suddenly you're tense, your jaw tightens, your patience disappear, all because you can't find a parking spot. And what's interesting is this: people don't, let's say, just get annoyed. People don't just get annoyed about parking. Sometimes it can get a little personal. And I know I've been guilty of that, that I'm looking for a parking space. And I remember when I was trying to park a vehicle, and I think I was taking too long, and someone got so upset with me that I was taking too long to park in a space, and they actually parked in the space. Like, they literally came from behind and parked in the space, got out the car and laughed at me. And I was upset at that moment. I'm like, should I scratch their car or should I fight them? But I just let it slide. But those are the thoughts that came to my mind. So what happens is, yes, people, they argue, they blame, and we feel disrespected. And I know at that particular moment, I felt disrespected. And sometimes it can even feel embarrassed. They can feel embarrassed or powerless. And I did feel embarrassed in a way because, I mean, I was trying to get in that space for a minute and I couldn't get in there. And they just kind of got in there in like 10 seconds. And I was stuck without a parking space and I had to keep driving around for a parking space. So, yeah. So today, I want to talk about why emotional reaction is what causes so much conflict, especially in cities like New York City, California, Texas, DC, like some of these areas, Chicago. Yeah, and I think just in general, parking can be frustrating and it can feel personal at times, right? So even if you felt this way, you're not dramatic, you're not overreacting. There's actually a very human reason behind it. So parking isn't just logistics, right? Let's reframe the problem. When people talk about parking, they usually frame it like a technical problem, right? We hear things like we need more spaces, we need better rules, like the parking alternate side parking rules suck, or no standards, 7 a.m. to 10, all these things, right? And it's all true, it's all valid. Or we need better enforcement. Like, why is the NYPD traffic officers not ticketing these people from them double parking, or anything like that, right? And I think all of that is valid. No lie, it's all of it is valid. But parking isn't just a logistic issue. Parking sits at the intersection of time, space, and control. And those are the three things humans are extremely sensitive about. Like, I definitely know I am sensitive about my time and I am sensitive about my space, and sometimes I don't and control. Yeah, that's I'm borderline there sometimes. Um, and when all three feel threatened at once, emotions show up fast. I mean, have you ever felt when you weren't in control of something? How did you feel at that moment when you couldn't control a situation? We tend to try to control situations, and we have to let things just play its course and not always try to control the situation because it actually winds up getting you in a bigger situation. So I'll leave it right there. But not because, and let's say not because we're irrational, but because we're human. We're human beings, right? So let's start with time. Most of them, I have of my notes here. Okay, so most of us already are under pressure when we are parking. My headset up here. I don't know what's going on here. Got a little ponytail here, trying to get out. Right. So most of us are already under pressure when we're parking. So it could be us trying to get to work, and we need to find parking, and that right there is frustrating. And you have, people are, it's traffic. It took you probably longer than you expected to get to that location. You probably didn't leave the time that you wanted to leave. So now you are under pressure when it comes to the time. You might be, like I said, late for work. You might be late picking somebody up. And you know how some people are, like, you tell them, I'm down the block, and then you take forever to get there. And you're trying to rush, and you're trying to get there, and you're trying to assist. Or you're late getting home after a long day, right? It could be that you might have to get upstairs because you might have to use the restroom. I mean, that's happens sometimes, right? And living in New York City, restrooms are very limited, but now our governor said that he's going to be putting public restrooms in place. So yay, we'll see how that works out. But that being said, that can be a serious issue, right? So parking isn't happening in a calm moment. It's happening in a stress one. When parking slows us down, it doesn't feel neutral. It doesn't. It feels like something is being taken from us, right? Which is our time. And when our time feels stolen, that frustrates us. I know it frustrates me. And sometimes I've come home and it's taken me like 45 minutes to find parking. And I'm so frustrated because I might have had on my mind, like, yeah, when I get upstairs, I'm going to start to cook and I'm going to do this. I had like all these plans of what I was going to do when I got upstairs. And then it takes me 45 minutes to find parking. And by the time I get out of my car, at 45 minutes, I'm kind of drained at that moment, and things I wanted to do, sometimes I can't do because I feel like it just took up so much of my time, right? I know a lot of people can relate to that. And then also is space, right? That's another issue, space. Space. Parking is deeply tied to territory. So people don't just see a curb or a lot. They see my block, my neighborhood, my daily routine. Like you have some people who feel like they own the block. They would actually put cones out there so they could prevent people from parking because they think that's their block, and that's their space, even though they don't own curbside parking. It's open for everyone, but people feel like it's theirs. And that's where you have a lot of conflict because people feel like they own that space when they really don't own that space. And people get into arguments and fights. And sometimes it can get so to extreme that people can wind up in the hospital or in jail, right? So that's why you hear things like, I lived here for years. Like people feel like I lived here for years. I could park it. No, you cannot park there and take on a space that you don't own, especially you don't have a permit. And that's a whole nother subject, a whole nother topic for another time. And sometimes they don't even live there. And sometimes or some people say, well, I live here. I've been living here for years and you don't live here. So you don't have the right to park there. No, they actually do because we pay our taxes. So anyway, so when someone else takes up that space, it can feel like an invasion. And even if no rules were broken, it's not about the car, it's about belonging. I can see that in so many different ways, not even with parking, but we'll leave that alone. And also control. Janet Jackson, hey. The biggest trigger, third factor, and the biggest one is control. With parking, decisions are often made for us because we feel like we cannot control it, right? We can't. Signs change overnight. Streets close without warnings. Tickets appears on our windshields overnight. In the morning time, car get towed. Um, Tow trucks arrive without conversation. Sometimes you can't even, like, they literally have your car on the tow truck, like they lifting it up, and you can try. Sometimes they'll work with you, but you actually be seeing your car just being driven away to the towing Navy Yard. I think that's what's good. Yeah, tow yard. Yeah, Navy Yard. Yeah. And when people lose control, we don't just feel inconvenience. We do feel disrespected. So loss of control triggers anger faster than almost anything else. And I think that is relevant in so many levels, not even parking. And that's why that emotion shows up, because we feel it in so many different ways. And parking is just an example of how, when a person doesn't feel like they're in control, how they can act out, right? So why does conflicts escalate so fast? And that's when it happens because that's when the conflict comes in, right? When resources feel scarce, people stop being generous, especially when, holidays are over, people are more generous. Well, sometimes they're not. I mean, people be rushing to get to where they got to get to. And instead of thinking it's okay, I'll find another spot, it becomes, why that's not fair. I was here first, or I was just coming around the corner. I was about to park my vehicle there. You see my hazard lights on. You see I was about to back up. And sometimes people do see you and they will actually take that space. What do you do in that particular situation? Do you get out the car and fight? No, we don't do that. We're too grown for that. That are plenty. So the shift happens quickly, and suddenly parking turns into confrontation. Not because people are bad, but because scarcity changes behavior. So here's the part we don't talk about enough. Most parking conflict is misdirected emotions. I think that's what a lot of things sometimes, depending on the situation. People think they're mad about a spot, but what they really are reacting to is how the situation made them feel. So if someone made you feel disrespected, like you felt disrespected in that particular case, then it can escalate, right? If you feel like you're not in control, it can escalate. If you feel like, time has been taken away from you and you're trying to find parking, you could be flustered and frustrated, right? So we can feel unseen, we can feel rushed, we can feel powerless, and also disregarded. And because there's no clear place to put that frustration, it spills out sideways towards our neighbors, other drivers, attendants, or the city itself, right? We start going on this rampage. I know I've done it plenty of times. So, that being said, in cities, all of this is amplified, especially when you're living in very high, populated cities where parking can feel scarce, and and time is very valuable. We don't have a lot of time. We're trying to fit so many things in a little bit amount of time, because everything is moving so quickly, because we have so many things that we're trying to accomplish, right? So when systems don't feel like humans, people respond emotionally. That's not a weakness. It's just psychology. Yeah. So that being said, I ran over a little bit, but we're going to go ahead and just finish this up real quick. So here's the reframe that changes everything. When we treat parking like a personal battle, everyone loses. Everyone loses. So if you fight and just say you did beat that person up and you got your licks in or whatever, still you might be going to jail, right? Or who really feels good about that at the end of the day? Not me personally, but Yeah, it can actually go to that point. Or if you're arguing with someone who's your neighbor, y'all can actually stop talking for 20 years because they took your parking space. It's happened and it's still happening. So stop it. But so just saying that. But when we treat parking like a shared infrastructure, solutions become possible. That's when that means designing systems that are predictable, transparent, and respectful of people's time and space. When friction goes down, conflict goes down. So that's is exactly why I started in parking, because that was an issue that I always had. Like, I literally trying to move my car in the morning, I have meetings and stuff like that, couldn't find a way to park. I'm so frustrated, I'm angry, I'm on the phone. It's like, oh God, I can't stand this park. I mean, like, literally. And then I would spend so much time, and then to the point that I'm trying to hurry up and get upstairs to the park to upstairs because I have a meeting. And then it's like, okay, well, I'm gonna park my car here for 30 minutes and come back and move my car. And then sometimes I forget to do that, and then I wind up with a ticket. So, like I said, this is actually why I started working in parking. Not because of cars, but because of how much unnecessary stress and tension parking creates in everyday life. When systems work better, people show up better at work, at home, and in their communities. So the next time you parking makes you angry, pause for a moment and ask yourself, am I really mad about the space? Or am I mad at somebody else? Or am I reacting to how the situation made me feel? That was a little joke right there. That question alone can change how we move through our city. So, that being said, I wanted to share that with you. I thought that would be a great topic because I want you to think about that. It's all emotional, and where are we placing our emotion, and where does this come, and how is it making you feel? So, thank you, Plenty family. That is all we have for today. And if you like what we talked about today, please like it. And if you can share it with someone, we would truly appreciate, especially if you know someone who has an issue with parking, who gets upset, and who fights over parking. Please share this with them, okay? And also follow us so you can get updates on our YouTube lives. We're going to be going live every week. And if you have any suggestions, if anything that you feel we need to talk about, please put it in the comments so we can actually bring it up next time. So again, thank you for Plenty family, and Happy New Year. And I wish you a year of prosperity, joy, happiness, and less stress about parking. Have a good night.